Hey all, Scott here. As you can see, I'm trying out a new color of skin. Yes, this is a Scott the Wise parody over here on C Plus Comedy. I just decided to try out a very crappy new YouTube channel. It's not very good, and it's not really about video games. But I'm a very funny guy, so I decided to try it out and see what's happening. So far, I'm not breaking any ethical rules at all. Okay, today's topic of the video is gonna be video games, like I said before. Oh God, this is the first time I'm not prepared. I feel like I should usually be prepared. Oh, my eyes hurt. These glasses don't fit. I don't like being black. I mean, there's other things I probably would enjoy, but for some reason, this cold open's got off the rails. But you know what? We're gonna use it. Okay, Scott the Wise parody over. I hope you enjoyed the blue border around the screen and my attempt at trying to do the voice.
It's news time. Delivering to you the news you didn't know about, the news you didn't care about, and the news you didn't know you cared about. With host, Chad White. Now, here's that host, Chad White. Welcome back to News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the E3 news you didn't know about. It's E3 week, baby, and the news was pretty tepid. It was not a good year for E3, and that's not because there was no traditional show. We got presentations, trailers, and interviews we wanted, but there was a lack of demos and in-person events and general excitement. We have three of the most powerful consoles in the world, yet none of the games stood out as must-haves. But there's more Zelda on the way, so maybe I'm being stupid. The pandemic took a toll on big conferences like E3. Like last year, audiences watched from home as these new games were announced. Talking heads from IGN, GameSpot, and other gaming outlets shunned stylized showcases in favor of doing commentary from home. Truly, it's the best anyone could do given the circumstances. I don't miss annoying things like the loud screaming because a new game was announced. In fact, I wouldn't mind if every conference was pre-recorded, but I did miss demos and live shows from outlets. Having people try these new games in person and talking about their experience on video with the roar of a heavy-breathing crowd in the background feels like a warm hug. I guess I missed G4. Not this new G4 with these kids my age mouths agape screaming at each other. I guess I don't like the screaming. We have to take E3 back to the fun zone again. This reminds me of a discussion I heard a while ago on IGN's PlayStation podcast Beyond.
I think that's like if they're going to head into a more consumer-friendly territory, I think that's something that needs to be taken care of. And I think there needs to be 4 times as many demo kiosks for everybody. I think it's like if this is going to be like, you know, you get to go to the biggest show of the year for gamers, like let's make that for them, you know, like let's have more swag on the show floor. Let's have more exclusive merchandise. Let's like really make this a show for fans, and then also give press their behind closed doors nonsense, you know, whatever they need to do to keep doing their job. So
because I totally agree. I think E3 needs to change from what it was this year and last year. I think in terms of other trade shows being hit with irrelevance, I think Gamescom kind of has the perfect format in terms of balancing both having some days just for press and industry and then opening it up to the wider audience.
Yes.
And I think like in the LA Convention Center, there is a lot of conflict that ends up happening with people having to run between appointments, whether it's press or people in the business side of, you know, working from a GameStop or a Walmart or people, devs and publishers, and then all the fans who are waiting around, seeing all these people running around, maybe they're missing something, maybe they're not.
For decades, E3 was never an open to the public event. Outlets and influencers were chosen to visit as they spread the good word of video games across the internet. It was only recently that the expo was opened up to the public. Even then, tickets are hard to come by or too expensive just to play some broken demos and cosplay. One of the biggest aspects of the past few years, with interest dwindling in the trade show as a whole, is that E3 is on a quest of its own to rebrand itself. In 2019, the Entertainment Software Association, the organization that throws E3 itself, was aiming to make the 2020 iteration of the show for the fans and influencers that it caters to. But then pandemic, and it was lost maybe until next year, because this year was like No. The pitch deck brought to light by GameDaily.biz mentions paid deals to influencers and celebs where they play games live on the show floor with fans watching. A fast pass system to play demos. 25,000 people were allowed to enter the venue. This thing sounds wild. If the coronavirus didn't come to prominence in March of 2020, it sure would have in June. The ESA would confirm this report in January of last year. They even had a suggestion line where I can only assume the wise gamers of the world wrote things such as, oh wait, that's too dirty. I can't say that. Because it's not that kind of show, Ron. E3 is a good show when it wants to be, and it's necessary. There's good competition from Gamescom and PAX and other trade shows, but the older E3 just can't be beat. Jeff Keighley, who hosted several E3-driven events in the past, now hosts a sort of anti-E3 that's more of the showcase variety than the convention. It's online and very much scripted, but just like E3, it has a utility. Most of these shows do. Why can't they all exist? Why can't my really very good parody of Scott the Waz live alongside the real Scott? So let's keep E3, but don't steer into the skid of influencers. Go back to the days of yore, like when the show aired on G4. Leave the prestige and fanboyism at home. Let's just get stupid and talk about video games. Speaking of being stupid, why don't you be stupid and subscribe and check out one of our other videos, of course. You can head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where there are so many interviews with your favorite comedians that you'll go, oh, all right. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at cpluscomedy. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Listen to the Constitutionals podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And I'm going to go work on my impression of popular YouTubers. I won't do that.